Have you ever scrolled through Instagram or TikTok and thought, wow, everyone has money except me? Someone your age just bought a new car? Someone else just got back from Europe, again. And then there's you, eating leftovers and trying not to panic when rent is due. It makes you wonder, am I doing something wrong? Why does everyone seem to be so far ahead, financially, professionally, even emotionally? You're not alone in thinking this. But today, let's pause. Let's talk about why things look that way and what's actually happening behind the scenes. Because in a world full of curated success and quiet struggle, what you see is rarely the full truth. Welcome to Thinklish, easy English for curious minds. I'm Matthew. This podcast is for anyone learning English and life at the same time. We don't just practice language. We talk about real things, in real ways, using natural English you can listen to, reflect on, and remember. And today's topic? It's a personal one, because the feeling of not having enough, or not being enough, can get inside your head. And if you're learning English while also trying to build your life abroad, or make new friends, or figure out your career, it's even heavier. So take a deep breath. You're in a safe place here. Subscribe if this feels like your kind of podcast. And let's begin. The rich image you keep seeing. So, why does everyone seem rich? Why does it feel like everyone's out there buying houses, upgrading their lifestyle, wearing designer sneakers, or going on spontaneous beach vacations, while you're budgeting coffee money? Well, let's start with this. You're not seeing their bank account. You're seeing their performance. Social media is a stage, and most people, especially those who are insecure, play a version of themselves that looks better than the truth. They don't show their credit card debt. They don't post about the loan they took out for that vacation. They don't mention that their parents helped them with that house deposit, or that they're working 3 jobs to keep up with their bills. You see the result, not the cost. You see the purchase, not the stress. You see the lifestyle, not the anxiety behind it. And when you compare your reality to someone else's presentation, of course it feels unfair. But that feeling? It's built on illusion. Because financial health is invisible. Debt is invisible. Parental help is invisible. But that shiny outfit, that beach photo, that we bought a house post, that's designed to be seen. You're not behind. You're just not pretending. The truth about modern wealth. Here's a strange thing about the current generation. More people are looking rich than ever, and more people are broke than ever too. How is that possible? Because we live in a time where it's easier to buy the image than to build the foundation. You can rent luxury. You can lease a car. You can use Afterpay. You can borrow. You can post it all online, and no one will know. You can live paycheck to paycheck and still look successful on social media. And so we start to confuse aesthetics with reality. Let me give you a real example. You see a girl posting from Paris. Every picture is perfect. Eiffel Tower, macarons, outfits that look straight from a magazine. You think, wow, she's living the dream. But what you don't see, she's sharing a tiny Airbnb with 2 strangers. She's using a credit card for everything. She's anxious every time her phone buzzes because it might be a payment reminder. And when she gets home, she'll be back to her regular job, paying off that trip for the next 6 months. Meanwhile, maybe you stayed home, worked hard, studied English, paid your bills on time, but you feel behind. Why? Because you didn't create a rich moment to show, but maybe you built something stronger. Invisible wins, invisible pressure. This is something we need to talk about more. When you're trying to grow, in language, in career, in confidence, your progress is often invisible. You don't get likes for working overtime. No one claps for you when you say no to spending money you don't have. There's no applause when you improve your listening skills or when you finally understand a native speaker without subtitles. But those are wins. They just don't look like wins in a world obsessed with aesthetics. And the pressure to look successful is real, especially in immigrant communities, especially among young people who feel like they're running out of time. That pressure leads to bad decisions. It makes you say yes when you should say no. It pushes you to buy things you don't need just so you don't feel left out. And it traps you in a cycle of fake success, real stress, and silent comparison. But let me say this clearly. Choosing to be real is a strength. Choosing to focus on building instead of flexing, that's where power lives. The people who look rich today may not have real stability tomorrow. But the people who are growing slowly, quietly, sustainably, they're the ones who will be okay in 5 years. And if that's you, keep going. You're on the right path. The 5-year rule. Here's something I tell myself often, and maybe it'll help you too. If you look at someone's life for 5 seconds, you'll probably feel bad. But if you look at their life for 5 years, you'll understand everything. What does that mean? It means that a 5-second photo of someone's new iPhone doesn't tell you they're behind on rent. A 5-second video of a luxury vacation doesn't show the burnout, the toxic job they're escaping from, or the anxiety they'll feel when the bills come. And a 5-second flex about buying a Tesla doesn't reveal the $900 a month they now have to find every month for the next 6 years. But if you watch those same people for 5 years, you'll see what lasts. You'll see who builds stability, who takes care of their health, who learns, grows, and adapts. And you'll also see who burns out, who crumbles under financial pressure, and who keeps chasing status but never finds peace. That's why you need to zoom out. Don't compare your entire journey to someone else's highlight moment, especially not when you're doing hard things, like learning a second language, building a life in a new country, or working while studying. Those things take time, but they're real, and they pay off. Okay, but it still hurts sometimes. Let's be honest. Even if you know all of this, even if you understand fake rich culture and quiet success and the dangers of comparison, it still hurts sometimes. It still stings when someone younger than you shows off a luxury purchase. It still makes you feel small when you're proud of your small apartment, but someone else just bought a condo. It still messes with your brain when you know you're doing your best, but it doesn't look impressive to anyone else. And that's human. We weren't designed to process hundreds of other people's lives every day. We weren't made to constantly compare ourselves to influencers, friends, coworkers, and people we don't even know, all at once. So if you feel overwhelmed by comparison, that doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware. And that awareness can be used for growth if you let it guide you instead of crush you. Focus on what's real. So what can you do instead? Start by focusing on what's real. Here are things that actually matter, even if no one sees them. You're showing up to learn English, even when you're tired. You're paying your bills, even if there's nothing left afterward. You're not lying about your life just to impress people online. You're working on yourself, with honesty. That's power. That's peace. That's long-term freedom. Try to build a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. Maybe you don't have the newest phone, but you're slowly building your savings. Maybe you don't post your dinner online, but you're eating healthy. Maybe your English isn't perfect, but you understand more today than you did last month. That's progress. Quiet, powerful, real progress. Vocabulary recap. Curated. Carefully selected or designed. Example. People post a curated version of their lives on Instagram. Burnout. Physical or mental exhaustion from overwork. Example. After 3 jobs and no rest, she experienced burnout. Aesthetics. The look or visual appeal of something. Example. We're often tricked by the aesthetics of success. Crushing debt. Overwhelming financial obligations. Example. Behind the luxury lifestyle was crushing debt. Flexing, showing off material things to impress others. Example. He's always flexing his new gadgets on TikTok, sustainably, in a way that can continue long-term without damage. Example. I want to grow my income sustainably, paycheck to paycheck, living with no financial cushion. Example. Many people live paycheck to paycheck and hide it. Crumbles under pressure, collapses, or breaks when things get hard. Example. Their perfect life crumbled under pressure. Invisible wins, personal achievements that aren't visible. Example. I improved my listening. That's an invisible win. Quiet success, success that isn't flashy or public. Example. She's living a quiet success. No posts, no drama. To zoom out, to take a wider, longer-term perspective. Example. Don't panic. Zoom out and see the bigger picture. Toxic job, a work environment that harms your well-being. Example. He left a toxic job and started over. Highlight moment, a single impressive or exciting moment. Example. Social media is full of highlight moments, not real life. Stings, causes a sharp emotional pain. Example. It still stings when I feel behind, even if I know the truth. Long-term freedom, stability and peace built over time. Example. I'm not rich now, but I'm working toward long-term freedom. What about you? Do you ever feel like everyone else is richer, faster, more successful? Have you ever compared your quiet reality to someone else's loud performance? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know what helps you stay grounded. And if this podcast helped you feel more peaceful, more powerful, or just a little less alone, give it a like. Subscribe for more real English and real life. You're not behind. You're not invisible. You're just growing, honestly. And that might not be loud, but it's strong. This was Thinklish. I'm Matthew. Talk to you soon.